Hey guys, Nate Bailey here with the Life Outdoors and Barebow Hunter. And today we're going to talk about the 5 elk sounds that you have to master, or that you should master, and there's only 5 of them, to be successful calling elk in the woods. All right, so this is part of our elk foundation series that we've been running over at the Life Outdoors YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to show you the 5 different sounds, the elk sounds that you should make. Now, these are the 5 basic elk sounds, and these sounds, what they'll do is they'll every other call is built off of these 5 sounds. So you need to understand that these 5 sounds are something that you will be able to use out in the elk woods, but there is no like set pattern. You got to start learning elk, and the only way you can do that is by being around them, listening to them, and working with them, playing with them. And I'm going to show you the situations throughout all these sounds, and when we use them, and why we use them, and how the elk respond on video. So there's a lot of different ideas about elk calling out there in this world. So calling is the thing that we do at the Life Outdoors. We call, and call some more. We believe in calling. Some people believe that you could actually have an elk language, and I don't believe that. I believe that elk know you by what you are portraying in emotion. And I'm a believer in it. There's a lot of guys out there that say that there's actual notes that say certain things. I don't know. We've had good success calling elk with what we do, and we're doing it here in Oregon too, so that makes it even harder. And then on top of that, we're doing a lot of that in the Cascades. To say that elk don't talk in Oregon, I hear that all the time. It's malarkey. We killed 4 bulls last year, and every one of them we called in. So that's just the way that we do things, and it's becoming part of that elk herd. Once you start figuring that out, that's when you start becoming more and more of an elk hunter. The calls that we use, before we get going here, the calls that we use are all from the new, there's a new company out there. They're new to a call company, but they are not new to elk calls, and that is the Bro Call Company. And you can check them out. I'll put a link right here. But you can check them out, and they've been building calls for years. I tried to ask how many bulls they got in between all of them, and I bet you it's close to 100 between all the guys in the Bro over the years. I bet you, so they know their elk calls is what I'm telling you. They know their calls. Right now they only have a prototype tube, and this is one of the prototype tubes that I'm playing with. Gage will be using this year. And then, of course, they have and they have several different types of calls. This one, I'm going to use this one to start with today. And then they have their cow calls, which are absolutely amazing. This is the 2-tone. That's the 2-tone cow call, and it comes with extra reeds. You could adjust the call sequence that you want. I'm going to show you why these are important calls. So this is the sound bite, and you can get both of these at the Call Company website. So that's Born and Raised Call Company. bornandraisedcallco.com, I believe, but I'll put the link up here, and I'll put the link also in the description. So let's jump right into it. Let's start with bull sounds. So there are 3 different bull sounds that you need to know. The first one, the locator. And the locator call is just basically saying, hey, look, I'm a bull. I'm over here. I'm looking for other bulls. I'm actually trying to find cows. And what you're doing is, it's a long, very happy kind of like, I'm so glad it's the rut call. And you guys, I know it sounds funny when I talk like this, but quite honestly, you have to kind of get that mental adjustment in your head, because you're portraying emotion into this call. With each call that you're using, you're putting emotion into it, because I could change my emotion real quick, right? And so all that emotion just changes, and it carries out through the call. So what you're trying to portray in the locating or this drawn out, hey, I'm over here call, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get something to answer you back. There's a social structure within elk, and so they're going to talk to each other and say, hey, look, I'm over here, I got my cows. And most elk are lovers. They're not fighters. They don't want to clash with each other. So if this elk has cows over here and this elk has cows over here, they pretty much, they don't get into it real hard until something happens. Something makes that happen. You'll see in the videos, the locators that we do, and you'll see how the big bulls respond. Now, a lot of the bulls that we had come in this year came in silently. They weren't going to respond because there were some big bulls that were around this year. And when that big bull was in that area, he's pretty much got his hierarchy already figured out. And those little bulls don't usually bugle back. They'll just come in and see who this other guy is that's kind of giving him some problems. And they'll come in. So the minute you start calling it, and if you get a big bull answering you, be ready, especially in the Cascades. So look at this. We're standing here over his dead elk. Now watch this. Listen to this, fellas. He didn't even shoot the big one. I didn't shoot that's the best sound in the woods, though. They're clumped together. There's usually more than one bull in each herd. There's usually quite a bit of bulls in each herd, and he's keeping the cows. The big bull's kind of just keeping his cows around him, but there's always going to be these other bulls around. And you saw in the locator, you saw how slowly that escalated. And it's just trying to get an answer, Just carry that long bugle out. If the big bull starts responding like, hey, get away from me, and you'll know that because he'll start shortening up his bugles, and you'll just feel the aggression in it. So we'll continue into that. We'll continue working that direction. We'll just make our locating calls a little bit less and a little bit more growly. So see, we're still not telling him, hey, screw you. We're still going, hey, are you still over there? And we're reading the bull. We're seeing what he's saying. If he's doing the same thing back to us, then he's not really pumped up yet. So we'll just keep pushing forward. And we keep going. We try to judge where he's at, and we'll try to get half the distance again, and then we'll do it again. And we'll just give him a... And it's not a drawn out, notice how it's not that drawn out, but it's the same sound. We just shortened up that locate bugle, saying, hey, we're a little bit more jacked up about this. You know, there's elk over here. We think that we might be able to come in here and see what's going on. So we'll do that. Now, depending on how he answers, depends on what we're going to do. If he answers back with something shorter and a cutoff, if he gives us something like that, then we turn the heat on, because that means that he's got a cow. He's probably ready to rumble, meaning that we'll be able to call him in. And once we start this up, now once we get this going, this is when you start looking for those little satellites to come in. And if you want to shoot a satellite bull, this is when they come in silently, and they'll come in from all directions. You don't know where those bulls are satelliting around that herd. So be ready. And here's another thing. You'll see it in our videos. We kick the herd out. Yeah, those satellite bulls will come in. They'll come in downwind of you and smell you and take off running towards the herd. Well, that just adds to everything that's going on. As long as that big bull doesn't smell you, he's still in the game. And there's still more satellites. One herd, we called in 5 different bulls off of one herd before we actually got the big bull. And he wasn't even the biggest bull in that herd. So don't give up. If you get a cow that comes in on you and she wins you and you got a big herd around there and she bolts, just growl at her with your bugle. Just give her a big bugle so it sounds like you're another bull. See, this is the game that we're playing. It's not just about this thing, it's about this thing. And you got to play the game with them. He's going to growl at us here in a second. Watch. He's mad. So, if he comes in and he gives you that, your next call should be the same thing back. And you could add, I like to scream at them. I don't do a lot of chuckling. The big bulls will chuckle at you. And when they start chuckling, that means that, yeah, the game's on. So when you start getting bulls chuckling back at you or cutting you off, that's when the game is on. So what I'll tend to do is I don't let him make me respond. What I like to do is I like to pretend like I'm the bigger bull. And this is just in my head, and you guys might change this up in your own thing, but what I'll do is I'll give him one of these. I'll give him about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Maybe I'll shake a tree. Just go in there and shake to where they could hear it and they could see it. Sometimes if you get the tall enough trees, they'll see those trees shaking. And then I'll give them a little bit more and say, hey, look, I'm not going to be intimidated by you. Now, once you've done that, you be ready. You be ready. And we're still in that mode, right? We're still in that short locating call mode, but this is when we turn into the aggression mode. And so this is call number 2, is the aggression mode. So the minute he starts answering you back, you cut him off with this. And that's just a scream with a sharp at the end. And you cut him off. That's right in the middle of his bugle. You do that, that's when it starts becoming game on. And you better be careful because those other bulls are going to be coming in. So, and you sometimes you call cows in. I've called cows in and had them start coming at me and chirping. And when you do that, man, you better get ready, because if you get those cows within 50 yards, you're gonna have that bull coming. He's not gonna allow them cows to get away from him. So that's the second call, is that aggressive, and I'll do it real quick for you again. It's almost a squeal, and I use it all the time. This is and you'll hear me use it all the time, and I inflect some voice into it, but you don't have to. You probably will start, once you've been around this longer, you'll start, I don't know, it's like osmosis. You just start collecting these things. So those are the 2 calls. You got the locator, the squeal, bark, mean guy, whatever. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's the aggressive call. And then the chuckles. Now the chuckles are something that you use. Some bulls like it, some don't, but most big bulls that I've ever been around start chuckling. And you could actually, especially with the Rockies or with the Roosevelts, you could start chuckling, just give them chuckles, especially in the Cascades. For some reason, I've had some big bulls that never even carried out any of that high note. They just chuckle at me. And it's like this. And you guys, you use this to your advantage. So again, I use this the same spot as I use that aggressive bugle. I just and I use it in that same manner. one of the things, if you start chuckling a lot, try this yellow one with your chuckles. I bugle and bugle and bugle again, and I've called in more little bulls with those big bull sounds. You know, when I first started doing this, there was a group of guys that's, you know, they would even make spike bugles and stuff like that. And if you want to shoot a spike, you just use it. No. Make sure you sound like the biggest bull you can sound like. It's going to suck all those little guys in. They want to see who's challenging the big guy, because they all know the big guy. They've known him all summer long. And so you get a big guy that's trying to challenge him. And I don't know, we don't sound anywhere close to being as big as those guys when they come in. But we are challenging, and we're putting, so that's why I say that it's not so much notes, but it is emotion. So I'm beating trees, and I'm bashing things, and I'm shaking trees, and I'm just trying to be like that elk. But when you find those little bachelor groups, or even some of the big bachelor groups, these cow calls are the way to go. And we called in 2 bulls last year. I called in, and that was on the 6th. And then in 2014, the bull I called him with a cow call. That was on the 6th as well. So I say before the 10th, make sure that you know your cow calls, because these bulls are cruising and looking for cows. And usually you're going to get that 3-year-old when you're cow calling. You're not going to really probably, the big bulls are already starting to get their harem together, and they're not going to leave cows to get cows. So you're looking at that. And I like 3-year-old bulls because, for one, they respond well, and for 2, they taste good. They're good tasting. So we have the sound bite, and I don't have it on here. I have the middle reed on. So, and normally I'd have the small reed on, and then I'd have both of these hanging around my neck, and then I just put them in the zip pockets. They come with lanyards, and I put them in the zip pockets. And then you have the 2-tone, and the 2-tone acts as a double call, and I'll show you why. And I like these double calls. I used an old Primos before I got this one. This one's a lot louder and a lot cowier sounding. And this has, the way that I have it set up with the big reed, and I have everything set up here, and you can play around with this. The way that I have it set up, this sounds very much like a big mature cow that's getting ready to go into heat, and I can make her sound really in heat. So the 2 cow calls that you need to know that will make our 5 is, one of them, you really need to know how to sound, and for lack of a better term, or you need to be able to sound sexy to a bull elk. I don't know, they don't know about any of that, but anyhow, you need to be able to sound. If you guys have you guys been around animals that come into heat, and you watch female animals that come into heat? They get really, really manipulative to, like, you watch a dog. She's nipping and pulling at them, and you got to, so when you sound like a cow that's in heat, that's what you want to kind of portray into your call. And so you just elongate a regular little cow chirp. You just elongate that into it, and become more, it sounds really weird for me to say it, but you kind of beckon them, and it's a, and if you want to get really, like, she's really starting to get into heat, and she really wants to be bred by a big bull, and and you give that little buzz at the end, and that will get the bull's attention. So if you get into a big bull and he's out by himself, and this happens sometimes, you can mix these 2 calls together, right? So if you mix a aggressive or a grunt, and then do those cow calls behind it, or even, I've done it even with bulls in the, one big bull that was in the nucleus and have all the satellites around, and I've called a bunch of the satellite bulls over because they think I'm another big bull with a bunch of cows. So that's one that you really need to know. And then the next call that you really need, so you can sound like a lot of elk in one, because there are no cows that are by themselves. They always have small cows with them, yearlings with them, calves with them. So sometimes the yearling bulls get kicked out, you know, the spikes, but there are no cows that are by themselves. So the next cow call that you need to hear is just the regular cow call. Man, these calls sound so good. So I have two cow calls always set up, and they're hanging around my neck, and they go back into the pockets. I'll just put them in the pockets, or a lot of times I'll put them back behind my binoculars. But I'll have two cow calls set up. The sound bite, I'll have it set up like a little cow or a calf, just to create that elky sound. And then, of course, the two-tone, I'll have it sounding up with that buzz. And between those two calls, you guys, and between all that, those 5 sounds that you can make, between all that, you're gonna be really, really effective out there in the elk woods. I hope all this stuff has helped you out. If you guys can, leave us a like and subscribe. And you could also do another thing. If you guys want, so you're going to watch this, you're going to get out there in the field, and you're going to come back, and maybe you found some success, maybe you didn't. If you found some success and you found out if something that we helped you with, please comment below. Let us know that we're helping you. And also, if you go out and you didn't find any success and you have questions, ask those questions below, and I'll try to answer them. I'll probably do it in like the YouTube Shorts. We do the YouTube Shorts version or something like that. So we're here to help you. We want to help you guys. We want to bring this stuff to you. We believe that if we get more guys elk hunting, they're going to see more about what's going on in their lives, and it just makes better people. So that's our big goal. And if you would like to help us, we do sell hats. We have hats on our website, thelifeoutdoors.com. We have soap on it, and we have other things on the website. So hopefully that's helped. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps you. I will do another video once the season starts, and I'll term it Now What. Take care. Thanks for watching.